I wanted to talk about an interesting relationship in classical mechanics between the Lagrangian and Hamiltonian formalisms of the subject. Now, you may know that the Hamiltonian is what's called the Legendre transform of the Lagrangian. So, for some L as a function of Q, Q dot, and T, the Legendre transform gets us to the Hamiltonian, which is a function of Q, P, and T, where P is defined as the derivative with respect to Q dot of the Lagrangian. And it's also sometimes said that the Legendre transform maps between some vector space and its dual space, but it's somewhat unclear how that relates to this classical mechanical example. Would this not imply that, say, P is the dual to Q dot? In most cases, P and Q dot are very, very similar in most simple classical mechanical cases. You know, P is just equal to MQ dot. You know, where's the duality relation there? So more concretely, let me just write down in a bit more mathematical detail. For some configuration space, so this is a space of coordinates that define the static state of the system, you can define a vector bundle, right? And the Lagrangian lives in that vector bundle. And so we can say that the Legendre transform F on L gets you between E and the dual to E. So the Lagrangian lives in the... Can you even see that? I don't know if you can see that. That's really bad. Well, whatever. You can get what I'm saying here. I think you can conceptually understand it. So what did I want to say? Well, I wanted to show you in a simple case where we can actually see the duality relationship. So I'm going to make sure if I write like here, let me test with a hello. Can you see? Hello? Can you? Whatever. Let's try and whatever. We'll deal with it. Sorry, it's been a while since I made one of these videos. So consider, if I write like here, maybe here. So consider some, okay, that would do whatever. Some generalized kinetic energy, where we work with a configuration space. So kinetic energy looks a bit like that, where the metric of the configuration space is Gij. Then it's normally quite easy to work with this, right? Because then we would just apply the Euler-Lagrange equations, and we would get a geodesic for the space if in the absence of any external forces, so for a free particle. And that would be our equation of motion. So for this, we literally do get the geodesic equation out of it. But let's find the canonical momentum from this and see what happens, right? This is a very simple derivative. I mean, it's much just like taking the derivative of 1/2 x squared. You just get 2x, right? Which is, well, 2 times 1/2 x, so just x. So in this case, the momentum P equals dl dq dot is just equal to Gij x dot j, right? And some of you might already see this, but this is literally the dual to x dot. This is definitionally the dual to x dot, right? Because the inner product, if I write out there, I'll wrap this up. The definition of the inner product, so for some u and v, is equal to Gij ui vi, right? And the dual is a linear map from v to the field over which that vector space is defined. So we can just say that it's Gij uj and then vj, or vi, sorry, where this is an element of the dual space and this is an element of the vector space, and this gives us, usually just the length. Well, if that were v as well, this would give us the length of v, right? So this is just a linear map between v and r in the case that it's a real number. So we can see quite simply that that's just v star cross v over to the field. And I don't know, I think that's just a pretty cool example to show how momentum can be seen as the dual to velocity. because that becomes quite important in more complicated cases where it's not as simple as just MV, which would be like a relativistic example or something like that. So yeah, I think it could have some application in what you do. I just think it's an interesting fact on its own. Sorry for not making any videos in a while. I don't actually know really why I haven't made. Maybe I haven't felt like there's been anything too interesting that I could make a short video on, because most things seem to require quite a lot of background to do. But I'll try to do some more over the summer holidays. So yeah.